people love this place and love this spot. I actually consider it to be one of the worst spots in New York and United States. Here's a couple more. I am a born and raised European, and I also run a show called The Honest Guide, so I try to be honest about things. So here are 5 places I absolutely hate in the United States of America. Please don't cancel my visa. The fabulous Las Vegas. Now, it is a place, a city that almost everyone who roams the West Coast will visit eventually. And it's also a place that we all know from the movies, from the blockbusters, from Ocean's 11, from pretty much any movie that takes place in casino. So when we visit, we're like, oh yes, let's go to a casino. And there's a shocker the minute you walk in. The one I noticed when I was 21 and I walked into a casino in Las Vegas, I was like, whoa, what's that smell? Why is everyone smoking? What the hell? I didn't see that in the movies. Now seriously, show me a movie that portraits someone in a casino in Las Vegas where they are smoking and there's ashtrays full of ash next to them. I've never seen that, so that's the reality. Now look at the people around you in the casino. They don't look anything like Danny Ocean or Matt Damon or Ben Affleck. They look like the type of people that like to be in rooms without windows where it's okay to smoke, drink, and waste your money. That's the real experience, not the Ocean's 11. All right, let's get out of the casino because I'm sure the world is much better on the outside. No, it actually gets worse. Now, you've heard of the Strip. It looks amazing in the movies, right? Especially from a helicopter. But once you get down to the Strip, you realize it's not like a huge walking pedestrian zone. No, it's a freaking highway. That's what it is. And you're unable to cross it unless you walk into one casino, go through the hallways, get lost in that casino, then eventually you find a walkway across that 27-lane highway and you end up in another casino. So a walk that you can see from your window from a place where you're standing and you want to get over there may take like 20 minutes. Now, I'm from Europe, from a town of Prague where we can walk. So if we see something, we can usually walk directly to it. That is exactly the opposite in Las Vegas. I remember getting lost in these gigantic, enormous parking lots, garages, back doors, back entrances. We were the only people walking around from place to place. It was just weird. Sorry for the hate, Las Vegas. Let me say something positive, and that is we're moving on to the next place. Disney World. I've only been once, but let me tell you the story. So there I am, and I figure out that it's not just one park, it's multiple parks. And I'm there for a day, so I ask when I'm buying the tickets, hey, is it possible to visit all the parks in one day? And the lady says, of course, you can visit all the parks, you just need to buy the proper ticket. That will cost you $250. I'm like, all right, that's a lot of money, but if I am able to visit all the parks, let's do it. It was during Christmas time, 2011, and I figured, hey, it's Christmas. I guess people will be home, right, with their families. Nobody's gonna go to amusement parks. Boy, that was a mistake. First of all, when it's Christmas time, people do go to amusement parks. I mean, like all of them. Second fact, you cannot visit all the parks and actually enjoy them in one day. That was a very, very bad move on my side. So for $250 times 2, I had a girlfriend back then, I spent the entire day only using the monorail, taking the path between the different parks and standing and waiting in lines. It was a horror show. As you can tell from the pictures I took back during that day, I was not a happy kid. By the way, when you enter Disney World, it says by the entrance, happiest place on earth, which is a lie because if you Google happiest place on earth, you will find Finland. So if you're a family of 4, you live somewhere in the United States and you want to have a really great experience and save a lot of money, don't go to Disney World, go to Finland. If you're going to San Francisco, be sure to avoid some streets. Once again, San Francisco is portraited as this amazing, beautiful city, the Golden Gate Bridge, the beautiful houses, and so on and so on. We know it as kids from TV shows, but lately, especially during my last visit, I was surprised. Some streets especially has changed to basically a camping grounds for homeless people, to the point where you're unable to walk those streets and you're, I don't want to say scared, but it's really weird. Now, I understand this issue goes deeper and it's easy to talk about it when I'm thousands of miles away, but I'm from a big city, we have homeless people, but if the homeless people would decide to build tents and block streets where we need to walk, somebody would probably solve that issue. I mean, I hope. So to me, that was a bit of a shocker on the latest visit, and I can imagine other people visiting San Francisco picturing it from the movies or TV shows they saw and then facing the reality, maybe a bit of a shock. New York City Times Square. Now, if you're a first-time visitor to New York City, most likely you'll end up on this square thinking that it represents New York City. It does, but I guess only on postcards. Times Square is nothing what it was like back in the days. I just recently visited with my dad, and my dad said, well, where are all the peep shows and where's that? New York City, you know? It's just Starbucks and McDonald's and stores I don't know because they're new chain stores. And on top of that, because you're not the only tourist there, all the tourists are there, it attracts a lot of scammers. So you get the fake monks from Tibet trying to build something in Chinatown, which is an utter lie. They're not from Tibet, they're not monks. You have those guys handing out the free CDs that suddenly cost $20. And last but not least, going back to Disney, you have those characters that mingle around, and when your kid wants to take a picture with Spider-Man, suddenly 25 other characters will show up and they'll demand $10 each for that photo. And I was also filming an interview with the people that were crossing Times Square, and I was asking them a simple question. Are you from New York City?
No.
Excuse me, are you from New York City?
No.
No.
I am not. No.
No.
Okay. Okay. The one guy that was from New York City, I think, told me to fuck off. Now, if there's one worse place that I probably would hate even more in New York than Times Square, it would be Times Square on New Year's. And I actually do know a person that did it, went to Times Square with, 1.5 million people to be stuck in this small place to wait for a ball to drop, and that's Honza behind the camera. How was it, Honza? Something you don't want to repeat, okay, I understand that. It was an experience, okay. Times Square is changing. It used to be packed with cars. It still is, but parts of it are becoming a pedestrian zone. So that's a light at the end of the tunnel. McDonald's. Why would this guy hate McDonald's? Well, let me explain. I don't hate it, but if I compare it to what McDonald's looked like in Europe or in our country, the Czech Republic, it was a bit of a shock for me when I was in the US and I entered McDonald's. I was like, whoa, it's kind of dirty here and it's like weird. Why is everything so old? We're used to McDonald's being new. I mean, the first McDonald's in our country opened in the 90s, and therefore most of them are much newer than the ones in US. Also for us, when we were kids, that was really something to go to Mickey D's. I mean, it was expensive. We would really have to talk our dads to, getting us chicken McNuggets and buying that extra sauce because you have to pay for it here. Unlike in US, it's like, junk food. So now we're gonna be sued by Disney and McDonald's. So it's not really I hate it, it's just a disappointment from what McDonald's look like in US compared to Europe. I mean, we have McDonald's that look like this, or this, or this. Or have you seen the McDonald's in Paris? Wow. So here's a tip for you when you visit Europe, Finland most likely because it's the happiest place on earth, go to McDonald's. Absence of city centers. Now, once again, not really a thing I hate, but it's a shock. Like if you go to any city in Europe or in our country, the Czech Republic, you name it. Honza, give like 5 random pictures of a city center in our country. Here you go. They all have a square, there's usually a church, there's a city hall, there's people walking around, there'll be like a restaurant, a coffee place, the post office, and so on. You know it's the city center because it's in the center, right? But if you Google downtown LA, you get this picture. Why is it so from far away? Like, why don't you show us what it looks like down there? Oh, maybe you don't want to share that, do you, huh? So the absence of a square in the middle of the city is something we don't understand. Like, if we go visit a city we've never been to, where do you start? Well, you start on the square. You go to the city hall that is opened and you ask them, you get a map, and then you walk your way around. That's kind of sad in US. And on top of that, there are places like San Diego that has the old town. I was once brought there by my friends who live there, and they're like, "You gotta see the old town of San Diego." So I was like, all right, so San Diego, the old town will be right in the middle, right? No, it's basically a tourist attraction on the outskirts of the town. Imagine the old town of Prague. Like, it's just like, where's the old town? Oh, so like you take exit 7. There's a huge parking lot. You get on this tourist train. Just the fact that if you Google Old Town San Diego, all the pictures you find look like a Disneyland. So every US city is either a picture of postcardish skyscrapers, or it's that one long street with different businesses on the side with gigantic parking lots. There's also that cartoon map of every European city. It looks like this. And I also just found out that there is an every American city cartoon map, and it looks like this. But that being said, being different is awesome, right? That's why we love to travel to discover new places. And I'm not expecting United States to look same as Europe, and Americans are probably not expecting Europe to look same like United States. So that's why we travel. And if you happen to travel our way into our city, which is the Prague of Czech Republic, we'll be more than happy. We run this show that is called The Honest Guide. Most of the time we spend either showing you cool venues in the city or catching scammers. So on your way to the happiest place on earth, which is not Disney World, Finland, please make a layover in Prague. We'll be more than happy to welcome you here. That was the two of us, the honest guides, Honza behind the camera, Janek in front of it. Bye-bye. And in the end, I'm gonna teach you a Czech word from my language, and that is how to say happiest in case you're looking for Czech Republic. And happiest is nejšťastnější. Happiest? Nejšťastnější. You don't need to know that word in any other language but Czech. Nejšťastnější, which you can be if you visit.